Warning, warning, Wii U. If you're a big fan of RWBY and don't want to listen to people being rude about the show, you probably won't enjoy this podcast. Please don't make yourself suffer. You've been warned.
Lady set me free. Let me be your bumblebee.
Hello, Phoenix.
Hello, Cube.
You know, as some of our listeners might know, I'm on a bit of a vacation, I'm kind of reassessing some things, kind of taking some time off, kind of, cooling off. And I've been thinking, and I've come to accept that RWBY, it's not a real show, I had to think deeply about it. I had to, really come to terms with things, but I'm pretty sure this just isn't a real show. It's just, I looked at my notes, and I have a lot of notes here, and I just realized, no, that can't possibly be a real show. I don't understand how I was fooled for so long.
Do you think it's like a mass hallucination or some sort of prank? Or like, what's your current theory then, if it's not an actual show?
I think there's 4 people out there they've been trying to gaslight me, They've been trying to trick me into thinking that they're trying to write a real show that makes sense. And now I understand that there's no way. And I feel very silly that I was ever fooled. So I have reached a zen point, and I accept that RWBY is not real and it cannot hurt me.
So what'd you think of this episode, Cube? What'd you think?
Okay, well, if I'm role-playing this reality where RWBY is real and exists and is a real show, what the fuck is this shit? This shit doesn't make any fucking goddamn... This is so fucking stupid, Phoenix. How the fuck can this be what they did? How can this be what they did?
It's a bad show. It's like...
It's a really fucking bad show, Phoenix.
I was trying to think, because RWBY writing, always bad. Always has been bad. Is this the result of them trying to be somewhat ambitious? The last time they tried to reach a bit was season 4. The big takeaway from most of season 4 was that nothing happened. Like 3 characters sat at home for a while and then decided to do something. And I feel like the notable thing about like season 7 and 8 is it's incredible the extent to which the plot doesn't move. You know?
Yeah, it's like how season 6 actually felt very busy compared to 4 and 5, but when you looked back at it, it's like, oh yeah, they just kind of walked from one place to another.
Yeah, they didn't.
And so like so much has happened, but also nothing has happened.
Yeah. The big takeaway from this episode, like the first thing to establish, is that at the end of last episode, we had the thing where Oscar did something with the cane, based on the theory that the cane apparently stores time, which is a thing.
I'm such a fool, Phoenix. I thought they said in Word of God, they said in the commentary that the cane stores time. So, because I am such a good fan of RWBY and remember the things that they said, I know that it is going to do something time-related, and I'm a dumbass bee.
So what happened instead? We'll talk about what the actual explanation, but what effectively happens, like one of the first things we see in the episode is there is an enormous explosion, like a nuke-size explosion. And the whale and all the Grimm in Atlas are utterly destroyed.
The end of that whole conflict. The end. It's fine.
Yeah, so that's the end. That's the end. Salem is blown to bits. She'll be back at some point, but for now she's gone.
He's blasting off again.
There's no Grimm anymore. So what happens is Ironwood just sort of goes, oh, well, that was the thing, and goes back to doing what he was trying to do at the end of season 7, which is take Atlas to space.
The other way I was considering opening this episode was, Phoenix, I think Ironwood might be a bad person. I'm still not sure, but I'm starting to lean that way.
I just honestly can't believe that, like, Salem actually arriving with the whole army, like the big thing that they've been building up to for the entire show, Salem's going to turn up with an army and destroy us and we're going to fight her, had no material effect on the plot. Like, she did that. She did the big thing where she turns up with the big army and it's meant to be really bad. Now she's just not here and we're back to doing what we were doing before. Like, we've actually gone straight back to the conflict we had before.
We got to start talking about the details because there's so much to unpack. I have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
I can't contain it all. I'm going to explode.
Okay, so the actual first thing that happens is that Ironwood is getting a report from 2 of his officers about the prison escape.
Yes.
What's great about this scene is that while these 2 officers are explaining what happened, we get to see the prison escape. So 2 fantastic moments in this. The first one is someone lifts up a rock and Qrow as a crow is still there. And he tackles someone as Qrow. Like, He just flies and goes, "Arr!" and just like full on bodies someone and they go flying.
I assumed he was like becoming a man again, like mid transform.
We don't see that. We do not see that.
Look, maybe he conserves mass.
Yeah. So then Qrow kills a bunch of people. Like he breaks a dude's neck.
Yeah, it looks like he just put him in a chokehold, but it's like instantly out.
Yeah. I think we're meant to think it was that breaking the neck type thing.
Whatever.
Anyway, so they've escaped, and Ironwood's really angry. But what Ironwood says is, search everywhere and don't return until you have Qrow in custody, because Ironwood still does not care about Robin.
Looks like Ironwood has underestimated me again.
He doesn't underestimate you, Robin. He doesn't even know who you are. It's fucking amazing.
He actually estimates her. He knows exactly how much he has to worry about her, which is not at all. But they do clarify that they must still be inside the compound, so I guess they're very conveniently located to, I don't know, go have a showdown with him that'll be very stupid.
Crow's going to kill him. Crow's definitely going to kill him.
I would like if that happens.
And then Qrow can die too, and we can just be rid of these two.
Free him so that he doesn't have to fuck Robin.
Yeah, just we can be rid of these two ruined characters, and it'll be fine. He's
very angry, but it's interrupted by a whale explosion.
I'll give them this. This section is artfully directed, I guess. Like, it does look kind of cool if you separate it from the stupidity of what's happening.
Well, it's like, I know what kind of scenes in other movies they're trying to invoke, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've seen this kind of thing in other films, and it works, but the problem is that those things work because they're like the culmination of, like specific dramatic lead up to things.
Oh, yeah.
But Oscar exploding his cane there is no lead up to that, and it just solves everything, and it's even, it's the word of God has lied to us once again, and it's just wow, what a satisfying way to end this particular conflict.
Yeah. No, it's such an ass pull. Like, it's such an utter ass pull. Should we just explain what happened now? Like, because it's part of it.
Yeah. Oscar will explain it later, but we'll go ahead and talk about it now.
So, yeah, the time thing, turns out the cane doesn't store time, or maybe it does. But what this was Oscar unleashing several hundred lifetimes worth of kinetic energy from the cane. That's apparently what the cane does, is that Ozma has been storing up kinetic energy in the cane for hundreds of years, and you can just release it like that in a blast. Now, there's lots of questions here.
Yeah, let's talk about.
Yeah, so first of all, I like to imagine that Ozma spent several lifetimes as just a dude standing next to a tree and just whacking the cane against it for several years. As that was the only way to build up kinetic energy. Just some of these lives he took, he just sort of he just turned them into a crazy person.
Yeah, sometimes he'll just throw it off a tower, go pick it back up. You got to get creative with it when you're starting to get bored.
When you're farming kinetic.
Yeah.
Secondly, the other thing to note about this is that when we see the bomb go off, destroys the whale, the explosion travels right through Atlas and goes past buildings, and we see Grimm being incinerated. But it only attacks Grimm, and it only destroys Grimm. Everyone else is fine. Like, the person who set it off, Oscar, is without a scratch.
I would be fine with that. It's mostly the fact that even Neo, you could make some kind of excuse for maybe the people immediately around him. He used a magical shield bubble to make sure that they were safe from the explosion. But we see Neo skipping out of the wreckage, our queen, our girl, saving the show. And it's like, so yeah, what the fuck? It's like a kinetic explosion that only hurts Grimm somehow.
Doesn't affect buildings, doesn't affect people. The jury and Emerald and that were not next to Oscar when this happened. They were outside the whale, but they were about as close as they could be. Kinetic is something specific. Kinetic just means force.
It's just a bomb. He set us up the bomb, and it just only hurt Grimm conveniently.
Yeah, somehow.
They just don't bring that up in the show at all. Everyone just accepts that whatever happened there, that made perfect sense.
Yeah. It only affects Grimm for some reason. We're never going to address this. We're not even going to lampshade it. Just, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that for the rest of the episode, we don't see any Grimm, and I'm not sure whether that's one of those things where the animation is being misleading or whether he really did kill every Grimm, because I wouldn't be surprised either way if next episode is like, oh, and there's still so many Grimm we have to deal with. But for now, there are no Grimm anywhere.
Yeah, like seemingly not in Mantle either, although that said, we haven't seen Mantle really this season to know whether or not there are Grimm down there or not.
Well, we've seen some wandering around.
Yeah, like right at the start. Amongst this montage of all of the bomb going off, we saw a couple other things. We learned that Weiss is still just making fucking tea and toast.
It's so good. The whole thing with the Grimm that they killed this episode, they've completely gotten over it. They don't give a fuck about that man that was inside that Grimm. They aren't horrified at all. They're over it. They're making more tea. It's so good.
Also, there is that rubbish shot we saw in one of the little promos of Winter using her sword to lead everyone in a charge towards the whale before the bomb goes off. Once again, they're right up against the whale. There's no Grimm there. She does like this, "Rah!" with a sword, and then boom, and that's fine. Fucking Marrow takes a moment to, but they were still in there.
It murders me because, you know, obviously there were a lot of things about this bomb plan that didn't quite make logistical sense, you know, and it seemed like they didn't really have a good grasp on exactly how this was even supposed to go down. And as is RWBY tradition, the reason for that was because it was never going to happen.
Yes.
And so they didn't think about it very hard.
No.
And so the conclusion of that plot point of them taking the bomb and this whole thing about, oh no, well, we have to kill Jury with the bomb. They take the bomb out. Turns out they don't need it. They put it back in the ship, go home. This literally just what fucking happens. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's a good bomb. You don't want to lose it. You know, perfectly nice bomb.
It's just so fucking stupid. And it speaks to this whole episode, which is RWBY fucking loves to give people moral conundrums and then make them completely irrelevant, right?
Oh, it's like their favorite thing at this point is like the idea of setting up a moral conundrum is enough. You don't have to actually have anyone follow through in anything. It's like, wow, what an interesting decision they'll have to make.
I'm sure glad I didn't have to make that decision.
Yeah, that isn't interesting if you don't make the fucking decision. If they never, ever have to make a fucking decision. This is the thing, like officially now that the whale is blown up, the war with Salem is over, and our main characters didn't do anything.
Only Oscar did anything to help in this situation.
Yeah, and it's only like when him and Osborn decided they were going to do it. You either, like we had two teams, one of them tried to do stuff and actively made everything worse, and the other team genuinely just sat in a mansion the whole time and killed one Grimm dude. Faunus.
Because that's the other thing about this, like one more thing that you remind me about this Kane is, so now that they've decided that this is what the Kane does, because obviously this wasn't what the Kane did previously, it's like, why is he only now using it? Did he not think Beacon was worth using it? Did he not? Yeah.
No, it's insane. Like, if Osborn and Oscar had access to their magic and potentially the Kane, when the whale turned up, why didn't he use it then? Oscar was running around and like with his cane for a while.
Oscar doesn't wanna though. He didn't wanna.
But do you notice that Oscar decided to do this because like, oh, she's gonna keep chasing us, as in fucking Team Jury, right? Prior to that, all these people dying in Mantle and Atlas. Oh no, not worth it. Don't worry about it. Only when like main characters are threatened.
I want to believe his cane explosion killed all of those random soldiers because they don't have aura or whatever, and nobody gives a fuck. It's fine.
Who fucking cares? They're just models of corpses. Oh
yeah, and presumably Hazel is vaporized or whatever, so I'd get some points on my bingo.
But this is the thing. Why is he vaporized and not everyone else?
Because he had the big character moment that meant that it's time for him to die now. Duh.
Yeah. Anyway, the Aesops are ordered back by Ironwood, who thinks that they set off the bomb. And he says, like, we have a new problem, which is funny because it's actually the old problem, but never mind.
Oh, there's also a really funny moment because when they're in the wreckage of the whale, Vine tries to put his hand on Elm's shoulder and she, like, kind of hits it away angrily. And I'm like, is the idea still that their problem is that they can't accept their feelings for each other? Is that going to be how they finally turn on fascism?
I just don't care. I don't care about these idiots.
They're really bad people.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They're rubbish people.
Everyone in this show is fucking awful people.
Yeah, but the Aesops in particular, like continuing to work with the fascist idiot, this fucking bomb, the stuff they are going to now do, like, because we know they're going to be involved in the next bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we cut to Watts
Cinder
and
and
Cinder. Cinder and Watts hanging out on top of a building.
This scene, there's a lot. There's a lot.
There's a lot going on in this scene. So they're figuring out what they're going to do next. Cinder was assuming that Watts had Penny under direct control and he could make her do whatever he wanted. He explains that, no, you misread my text, which was ambiguously worded. What I meant was that I uploaded a virus to her via her sword, via a chip, because that's how that works, with the W. And
Still salty.
still stupid. Now she's just on a set path. Once the virus actually takes over her body, she's going to go to the vault, open it, and explode.
I will say positive points. I really like his character animation during this dialogue. He does some nice little character acting. I stand him until he says a certain thing later.
Yeah, I would compliment his voice acting as well. This guy's doing a pretty good job, I think.
Yeah, he's fun as far as villains go.
Yeah, he is. It's worth noting that, which is something that Cinder notes, that having Penny just blow herself up sort of gets in the way of the Cinder gets all of the maiden powers thing. That is definitely something that Salem's trying to do.
Yeah, I wrote down the dialogue because this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, go. Okay, what's the dialogue?
Because she says, how am I supposed to take her power if she's dead? As she grabs him with her grim arm. And he says, maybe you haven't realized this, but I don't work for you. I was like, yeah, but you work for Salem, who wants her to have the grim powers. What the fuck are you talking about? But you know what? He doesn't say Salem. He's like, I bet he's like, I work for Ironwood now, and I did exactly what Ironwood wanted me to do, and we're best friends.
This is the thing, because, like, what he's done is actually helping Ironwood more than it helps Salem. Because if Penny just goes to the vault and opens it and dies, and there's no one from Salem's teams around, Ironwood can just go to space. Like, this is exactly what Ironwood wants to happen.
That seems like the kind of thing Ironwood would have specifically asked him for.
Yeah. I get the impression that, like, because, like, Watts is saying how, you know, this will deal with our Penny problem. But it's like, I think Watts just, and the writers, forgot that this is not the end goal. Like, the thing where Cinder wants to get all the maiden powers wasn't something that just Cinder wants.
Yeah.
It's like, that's something that Salem specifically wants.
She'd chosen her to be the vessel of the maiden powers.
So Watts, while trying to help Salem, is actually helping Ironwood.
It's very silly.
What happens next, I was enjoying so much until it went a bit too far. Because what happens next is someone finally calls out the fact that Cinder fucking sucks.
Yeah, she's threatening to drop him off the building. She stretched her arm out real long, and she's like, I'm gonna drop ya. And he's like, hey, have you ever thought about the fact that you fucking suck at everything?
Because she's saying how, like, I'm gonna drop you, and then I'm gonna go straight to where Penny's gonna be, and I'm gonna take the powers. And he's like, yeah, how did that work out last, like, 2 or 3 times you tried that? How did that go?
Oh, what's great is she says, I think we can still come up with the plan while she's pulling herself together. First, I'm going to kill you. And it's like, what do you mean about the we come up with the plan?
I kind of like that as a line, to be honest.
That's not a plan you came up with together, I don't think.
Yeah, I know. But I get that's part of the threat, I guess, is like, you know.
Yeah, and then she says, I'm going to take what is mine. And then she does like a really silly cartoon evil smile. And then he's like, and that's when he says, how has that worked out for you?
Now, yeah, and that was great. It was really funny seeing someone just like a villain who's kind of fun and still sort of enjoyable dunking on Cinder. But then it goes too far. Cube, how does it go too far?
So he's like, it's not just good enough to be strong, you have to be smart. And he says, you think you're entitled to everything just because you've suffered. And then because I know writers who use subtext and they're cowards, they show us a flashback again to Cinder being electrocuted by her evil stepmom, which is great because that implies that he was watching the episode and he knows about that backstory now because there's no fucking way that Cinder told Watts about her very depressing backstory. He watched the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, why would he know any of that? Why would he know that she's had I mean, you could guess she's had a suffery backstory, like maybe he was just taking a punt. And he goes on to say that, yeah, you're essentially saying you're not worthy of having these things because you're too much of a fuck up.
Yeah, he says you can't just be deserving, you have to be worthy. And I'm like, make another pass at that line, maybe. That doesn't really...
Yeah, those words mean the same thing.
Another couple things that I have to say before we talk about her reaction. So one, it's very similar to Yang's conversation with Salem, right? It's like one bad thing ever happened to you. But then it's like, but that whole Midnight episode about Cinder's backstory really pushes the fact that she's in a cycle of abuse with Salem as her current evil mom. And that, so you can't even act like this isn't actually her character flaw, theoretically, if you're following the rest of the show.
It is if you didn't write the Midnight episode, but you did write this one. I think that's how that went.
Yeah, because this is a Miles Kiersey episode, and Midnight, I believe, was Carrie. I'm realizing Carrie just likes the fucking edgy nonsense, because everything that happens in this entire season makes way more sense if you take out that scene where Ironwood shot a council member. And I remember Carrie being the one who really pushed for that and thought it was rad. So I'm understanding Carrie's writing a little better nowadays.
The idea that Cinder is sort of like arrogant and sort of bullheaded and in the way she approaches things would almost be like a compelling point, I think, in terms of someone pinning what's been wrong with her character. Because like as much as I think they have pushed it too much, we've had too many seasons where she is just lame. Maybe if this had come earlier before we'd had like 3 or 4 successive failures. Because like, don't forget, we had in between the thing with Freya, we had another like episode where she fought Penny and lost again.
Oh yeah.
But there's the kernel of something compelling there. The idea that like, yeah, she does have specific flaws in the way she's gone about things, and she is sort of like almost kind of entitled in a way.
Yeah, at one point he's like, this would have all been, none of your fuck ups would have happened if you just fucking followed orders and did your job, which is true.
Yeah. But she keeps like sort of going for revenge, or she's being emotional like all women are. But you're right, it doesn't mesh when you then pull it into her suffering backstory, which is about a cycle of abuse, and say, oh, that's actually your flaw, is that you're being abused. Like you're trapped in this cycle.
She suffered once, and also she's in a cycle of abuse.
Yeah.
Which is, it's the same problem with Salem.
Yeah.
Except they don't even try to pretend Salem has been abused for a long time because they don't give a fuck.
No.
But speaking of emotional women, I both times I watched this episode, I had to pause at this moment coming up because I can't fucking handle that this is what happens here.
Yeah. So he ends up by saying that you were just, you were supposed to be doing a job, but you've never been anything but a bloody migraine. And so she throws him back onto the roof, and all the fire goes out, and she sits down on the edge, and she has a cry. And it's just,
why didn't she at least kill him and then think about what he had to say? Did we really need to preserve Watts?
Apparently.
But he just told her off so good that she was like, you know what, you're right. I was being immature then. Here, I'm going to set you back down. I'm going to go have a little cry.
We've talked before about the reverse aging of Cinder's character.
She's 5 years old.
Yeah, she's been Benjamin Buttoning across the entire show. And like, yeah, this is the reaction of a 10-year-old.
And sad music starts playing.
Yeah.
Sad music for Cinder.
And again, like, there's a part of me that is like semi-compelled by this idea, but everything going on is just so fucked. That's
RWBY for you, right?
Yeah. It's one of those things where you can see it. You can see there's something there. But oh man, why do you have to have this cycle of abuse shit with, well, this is technically all your fault? Ugh.
It's just a little bit messy. Anyway, cut to team. So this team is now ORJEY, orgy, but now it's orgy with an E in it. So that's how I'm designating them. Orgy! And they're in the whale rubble.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like standing up out of the whale rubble like, whew, that sure was a nuclear explosion that we were just fine getting through. This is no problem. And Yang picks up the phone because she's getting a call from Blake, which really just stresses the fact that they could have called each other at any time during all of this whale shit, and they just didn't.
Maybe some of those, like, the fan Grim, maybe they jam phone signals. I don't know.
I wonder if they're going to show back up.
No, I've got a feeling I can answer that question.
And Emerald's holding out her hands like, Hazel.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, because they were so close. That cool relationship the three of those had. Sorry, maybe we just want to sidebar for a second.
I forgot about that.
At some point, I think during one of those Q&As, Eddie said something about how he really loves the three-way relationship between Emerald and Hazel and Mercury. I fucking love that because I don't think those guys ever had any real scenes together.
Yeah, and he said he was very excited to explore that relationship this season.
Yeah.
As we saw, they got so much screen time together as a trio. Like in episode 1 when they showed up and two of them didn't have speaking lines and they stood behind Salem. And I was like, damn, that's some good character interaction right there.
Mercury and Hazel were in one scene together in the background with no speaking lines. And then Mercury left. Hazel and Emerald almost never spoke. And now Hazel's dead.
It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good.
Wow, that was a cool relationship to explore.
Anyways, Blake calls him Badoopadoop, so they're talking to the friends. And Weiss's voice actress doesn't give a fuck anymore.
No.
I have realized, like, she is no-selling literally everything this season. Like, if it's a comedic scene, she'll go for it. But if it's supposed to be dramatic, she's like, I'm so fucking over this shit. So you know, it's like their friends are alive. They just found out that they're not dead. It's so emotional. And Weiss is like, anyways, you can get to us if you go through the subway.
Yeah, it's such a flat delivery. It's amazing. So they're walking through the subway and they're discussing what they're going to do with Emerald. Once again, Yang continuing her run of being the fucking worst.
I actually stan Yang in this scene.
Well, okay, here's the thing.
We can fight about it.
Here's the thing. I don't necessarily disagree with the idea that they should not trust Emerald because Emerald has been party to some really terrible things. But what Yang says in particular is, the first thing she says is, she's the reason I have this, holding up her artificial arm. And says, like, she's responsible for what happened to Beacon. There's just something that bothers me a little about, she's the reason I have this. Also, Pyrrha, I guess, and everyone else that died.
That's true. And also, like, the arm thing is very indirect because it's like, I guess they were, like, Adam cut off her arm and they were working for the same person. So it's not, like, as direct as she makes it sound. But yeah, it should be more about all those people that died. But, you know, RWBY doesn't care about life and death of all these fuckers.
I just assume they forgot. Because, like, yeah, Yang's arm is the immediate thing they can point at. But I'm just sort of like,
But yeah, they're still right. Like, John also is kind of on her side on that of like, fuck Emerald, we shouldn't trust her. She, you know, was involved in killing a lot of people. And then Ren's like, we can't let all of our actions stem from fear.
It's not about fear. It's about, like, she might betray us. That's logic. Like, she is not to be trusted.
Just because you're afraid of her betraying you. But you can't let fear run your emotions. But also we can only trust her because she feels fear. So maybe fear is good and that's why we can trust her, but also you shouldn't feel it because then I wouldn't trust you.
I was already shut off by anything Ren says now has to be connected to emotions. Like that's all his character is right now. You were joking about, you know, Ren becoming a full-on psychic because he can sense emotions. I think this episode confirms he is just an actual psychic who can read minds. Because fucking Oscar is trying to make an argument for trusting or giving a second chance to Emerald, saying, hey, you got a lot of help from someone, you know, that you didn't really trust or like just recently. And I assumed he was talking about Hazel. But then Ren goes, oh, you mean Ozpin? And Oscar just looks at him like, what the fuck? Because obviously no one knows that Ozpin is back yet. No one else is like, Oscar hasn't told anyone that. He deliberately didn't tell anyone that earlier.
I will give some credence to this because I could imagine that maybe he can sense that there's two different separate sets of emotions within Oscar right now, and he could draw a conclusion from that.
I suppose.
I'm snapping my fingers. Though that would have been nice to show a bit.
Yeah, I guess. Because they do make a point of showing Emerald's fear petals, but yeah, I don't know. Ren's reading minds. And now everyone realizes that Oscar's back. Ozpin's back.
That's a great thing, because Ren does call him Ozpin, and so now, like, every time I'm just like, do you guys want us to fucking believe he's Ozpin or Ozma or what? Like, can you make up your goddamn minds?
No, this is still shitting me as well. Like, I understand you got to keep using the same VA, because there isn't really, like, an Ozma VA, but it's not Ozpin. Ozpin was just the last body. Oh, God.
Someone in the chat is saying, look, they knew him as Ozpin. Yeah, but it's still like everybody, you know, even Salem calls him Ozpin sometimes, and nobody can decide whether he's Ozma or Ozpin. And like, if you knew him mostly through Oscar, you wouldn't start calling him Oscar.
Also, Oscar never knew him as Ozpin.
To be fair, I noticed that Oscar generally calls him Oz, so Oscar has his shit down.
When he says, like, you got all this help, we've gotten all this help from someone you don't like, he's talking about Oz. Is it just me or did Hazel do more? Like,
oh yeah,
Hazel did more than anyone else in terms of getting him out of that whale, surely.
I guess technically Ozpin's years and years of setting up the Bomba is what made it possible to do a big whale explosion.
I suppose. But still.
It's still like, and of course, Oscar had to be the one to choose to do that even because Ozpin doesn't give a fuck. Oh, and another thing that Oscar, oh my God, I forgot about this until I just looked at my notes. I'm like, oh, that happened too.
Yeah, so nitpick time. Nitpick.
When we were tortured, he took it so I wouldn't have to.
Yeah. You remember that scene they had, like, I think last episode where they established, or maybe the episode before where they established
It was a
that
few episodes ago.
Ozma offered to take the beatings, and Oscar said, no, definitely not. I'm going to take all the beatings.
I think he's going easy on me.
Yeah, and in this scene, while trying to make an argument for everyone to like Ozpin some more, while trying to make an argument for everyone to like Oz some more, he says...
Why do you even bother?
I don't know. He says, Oz took all the beatings for me so I wouldn't have to.
Look, obviously, he's fusing with Oz. They're becoming one, and so he's picking up Oz's habit of lying about shit for no reason in ways that seem to cause discontinuity problems, but are really just him lying because he likes to lie.
RWBY is an amazing show because there is no way of us knowing if they are having Oz lie for no fucking reason or if they just forgot what happened 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Oh, let's be real. They aren't thinking Oscar is lying. And it's just like, how do you not catch this?
Yeah.
Like, the editors didn't catch it. The Eddie, who's supposed to be, this fucking... How does nobody notice that these are two very, explicit lines that directly contradict each other?
I guarantee that, if someone calls them on it, they're going to say that Oscar was lying to make everyone like Oz or something. That'll be the explanation.
It makes more sense than a lot of the other, Oz was just lying excuses, but it's still, there's no way that was their intention.
Yeah.
The people who wrote this episode just didn't know about the things that wrote the other episode.
Yeah. Which implies that fucking... they don't even read each other's scripts. Do they just not care that much? Are they not paying any attention to what's happening?
No, I don't. I literally, this is why I say I don't think this show is real. How is it like this? How can it possibly be like this?
All I can think is that all they get is outlines. So one person will add something into their scene where, Oscar's taking all the beatings, and then someone else will add something into their scene of the episode they're writing, where it's the other way around, and just no one catches it. They're that incompetent that no one picks up on these things.
I don't know. It's amazing.
And 1 or 2 of these things would be okay, well, things slip through. But this happens all the time in this fucking show.
It's so much. Anyways, loading screen.
We hear a baby cry. It's just a scene of Adlesian citizens hanging out in the subway, which they're walking through. And I'm just what is the purpose of this scene? Am I meant to feel bad for the Atlesian citizens?
Yes, both sides. It's so funny because there's a super bright light that leads into this scene, but then the scene isn't brightly lit. So we were all just why was there a loading screen just now? And I feel like the purpose of this scene, the very important purpose, is that you see Emerald, she's looking at all the people and she feels bad. And it's maybe she just didn't realize that all of her people killing resulted in people being killed before,
People die when they're killed.
Yeah, she had to learn that valuable lesson. And then Oscar says, I've seen what you can do, Emerald. However this fight ends, we could really use someone like you. And I'm like, which fight are you even talking about at this point?
Yeah, we had the fight. What's the fight?
He knows that Ironwood is about to get on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is just meant to be here so that Emerald, for the first time ever, thinks about the fact that she made lots of people die.
Of course, you know when else she thought about that? Fucking end of Volume 3. Waited this whole time.
So.
Anyways, it's time for this fun-ass scene.
We're here for the fucking meat of the episode. Here we go. Ironwood. We're back to Ironwood. Now, yeah, Salem's gone. Salem's been blown up, all the Grimm are gone. But, you know what? Salem's going to keep coming. She's going to bring everything we have. We got to keep fighting her. So, again, Salem actually turning up with a fucking army meant nothing. He's back to exactly the same mindset he was in at the end of Volume 7.
It was a fun little side adventure.
Had she not turned up, we could have just deleted the first 9 episodes of this season because they didn't mean anything. There's no consequences of that happening.
Excuse me, maybe Ren wouldn't have unlocked his important emotion semblance if none of this had happened. So that's worth destroying a couple kingdoms for.
His semblance is destroying subtlety. So,
like the show has subtlety. Anyways, the Aesop's come back to Ironwood and have an amazing conversation.
okay, so first of all, Winter explains, hey, that wasn't our bomb. Ironwood is like bothered for a moment, and then he's moved on. Which I fucking love. It's like, hey, someone else blew up the whale. Anyway.
Yeah, and don't look at give the horse in the mouth, I guess.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, we still got a bomb. Cool, I like bombs. His next plan is to use, because now Qrow's run away, and also Robin, I guess. He was like, oh man, like I had Qrow right there. I should have used Qrow as one of Penny's best friends to like make her, like do what I want by threatening him. Like he has a chuckle about, I didn't even think of that before.
No. You have to, you're framing it in a way that makes the scene way too clear. Because at first he's like, Qrow, I had him in my hands. I should have done what needs to be done. Bring me Arc Ren and Xiaolong. And I really thought that he was just going to say that he wanted to shoot these kids in the head while he had the chance.
Yeah, you're right. It did sound like he just wanted to shoot more people. But the idea is that, like, I just like the idea that, like, oh yes, Qrow, Penny's best friend.
Well, also, this season, there was a scene in that fucking Schnee tube zone where Penny, who she listed as her 2 best friends? Ironwood and Winter. And Winter's in this fucking room and he's talking to her and he's like, I need her best friend, Ren.
Yeah, so the idea is that he's going to, like, put a gun to their head and that'll make Penny come. But unfortunately, Harriet is a dibber-dobber and dibber-dobbers wear nappies. So...
Dibber-dobber!
Yeah, she dib-dobs. She dib-dobs on him.
Australianism for the day. But yeah, snitches get stitches. Harriet, oh my god.
Yeah, Harriet dobs. Harriet dobs Winter in for letting Jury wander off. And Ironwood's mad. Ironwood's so mad because this was his last play. And Winter looks so fucking stressed out because this is so serious. Like, there are going to be serious consequences for Winter having done it. No, nothing comes of that. Nothing comes of the fact that she let them run off.
That's the thing. She didn't just like let them go. Like from their perspective, Winter sent them into a death mission in the whale, and then they exploded and died.
Yeah, as far as they're concerned, they're all dead.
And Harriet's like, she went so fucking easy on them.
Just Harriet dobbing her in because she was mad that she got overruled.
Harriet's just such a fucking bitch.
Man, Harriet. I'm going to talk about what I've read of the fan reaction to this episode later, but like I have noticed a lot of people fucking hate Harriet at this point.
Good.
On Reddit, there's that thing where you can add like a little like phrase to your name. I've seen a lot of "fuck Harriet," all my homies hate Harriet, which is
finally we can come together with the true fans.
But again, just this thing of no consequences for anything ever. Because before Ironwood can do anything about Winter, he gets a call and is told there's a whole bunch of SDC ships heading down to Mantle. And he's like, oh, it was always about Mantle, wasn't it? I need to make a phone call.
Yeah, before that, he smashes the terminal. He says, no, I have nothing.
Yeah.
Because he's so angry.
Yeah. Now, what's great, there's a lovely little detail in that. Because he sees this footage of the SDC ships going down to rescue everyone. And do you remember what he says?
This has always been about Mantle, hasn't it?
No. Before all that, he says, Weiss. Because he assumes...
That's right!
He assumes this was Weiss's plan. It wasn't Weiss's plan. Because assuming it was Weiss's plan would be the sensible assumption because she is a main character. But this makes me wonder, do the writers think that Weiss gets the credit for this?
I bet they do.
As opposed to fucking Whitley, who was the one who thought of it.
I assume they said that because they needed Winter to have like an oh no reaction. and if he had said Whitley, she would just be like, oh, that dumb bitch.
But yeah, he said Weiss. It wasn't Weiss's plan.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. God damn it. He really overestimated her intelligence. That's awesome. Every line in this show in some way makes no sense. I don't understand how it's possible. Like, if you tried, you could not pull this off.
Even the smallest lines.
So that scene ends with him being like, this has always been about Mantle, hasn't it? I need to make a call. Dun 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 dun. And then we get the best scene in the episode because Cinder gets a text Cinder got a text.
Cinder gets a text message. Now, who would send a text message?
It's a girl who can only talk through text. It's our girl, is Neo.
And Neo,
and she's so good.
Neo's troll game is so fucking strong.
Fucking love her so much.
So like she says like she texts. What's the text say? Do you have it written down?
Your boss won't stay dead, but you will without this, winky face. And there's a fucking picture of her holding up the lamp, putting her hand in front of her face like tee.
Yeah, doing like an OJ Sama laugh while I have the lamp.
Oh, drag her.
Which implies that she found a rock to set her phone down on and put the timer on so she could take this photo.
Hell yeah, she gotta. It's so good.
And then she tells Cinder like, look, I know the password to this, but you owe me something. You know what you owe me.
Yeah, if you want her name, you know what you owe me.
Yeah.
Which, it's gotta be Ruby's head.
Yeah, you gotta go kill Ruby. Which like is great because that's more or less what Cinder's been trying to do for several seasons.
That's true.
How does this change Cinder's plan?
Well, the problem is that Cinder took the eye off the ball, and Neo's like, we have to focus on the prize, which is Ruby's head. And also, I'd been thinking before about like, what the fuck is she gonna do with this lamp? Like, they probably won't let her ask a question. And I was thinking like, maybe she just is like, I want fucking money. Someone pay me for this shit. And this is kind of similar to that. She's just like, look, I don't need this thing. I have all the answers. I'm awesome. so just give me Ruby's head and I'll give it to you.
Yeah. It's kind of great.
Yeah, she's so good.
In terms of her little arc for like the last 2 seasons, she got a new boss. She sort of assumed that she would just be rewarded for good work like she used to be with Roman.
Yeah.
Turns out this new boss was a dickhead. So she's like, okay, well, I got to go get mine. And she does.
Yeah, she's been boss shopping.
Yeah.
So she's going to have to continue shopping around a bit.
Yeah. Or be her own boss.
Oh, she's so good.
Maybe that's what she's learned from this season. Be your own boss.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I stand that character arc.
I mean, like, to be honest, as much, as I would miss her, my true hope for Neo is that Ruby dies and she just sort of skips off into the sunset. And that's the end of her. Like, run from this bad show. You're far too good for it.
The true conclusion.
Yeah. Now, okay, so yeah, as I was saying, there's a quick montage set to like happy music about, I've been waiting for this moment all my life.
Yeah, it's very like calm, very romantic kind of, to Ruby opening the door and Yang and Qrow come in and they meet back up. My notes say, remember their conflict, LOL. Because again, another moral quandary that ended up not fucking mattering at all because no one even remembers what they were fighting about. Doesn't fucking matter. Who cares?
Yeah. Is Ruby making bad decisions? Like, should we be listening to what she says was Yang's argument? It's okay, Yang's forgotten about that. And I guess the question was answered because everything was solved without Ruby doing a fucking thing. So, like, Ruby ended up being right, I guess, despite not doing anything. Is that what we're meant to take away from all of this? I don't know.
Oh, no.
Everyone else hugs. You know who else hugs? You know who else has a nice hug?
So Yang hugs Weiss, and then it's like, time to see how gay we're willing to be. I'm going over towards Blake. I'm putting my hand on her face. It's pretty fucking gay. I'm leaning in, and then they touch foreheads.
Yeah, I just can't.
And I was saying this in the chat earlier, but like we know that Qrow and Ironwood having that like very intimate moment was just the animators, and they were like LOL's gays. And we know that a lot of the Clover gayness was blamed on the animators just making things much more romantic than they called for in the writing.
Which bullshit. I mean, the writing, I'm sorry.
Well, that too.
Yeah, but...
So I don't how do I as a viewer know that this scene, like that the script didn't just say Yang hugs Weiss and then Yang hugs Blake?
Yeah. I would love to see the script for this. I want to know how intimately that was written or whether or not this animation was a choice of the animators and they couldn't make them kiss because that wasn't in the script.
And also, fuck this shit that they can't kiss. Why the fuck not?
Just fuck this shit. Like, just how can they not just kiss? This is a perfectly appropriate moment for them to kiss. You're still gay coding it.
It's sure much more fucking appropriate and well builds up than the fucking Renora kiss.
Yeah. Like, and it's not the right time. I saw someone. There were quite a few people complaining about this, and I saw someone, one of the fans, saying, I just think it needs a bit more build up. Are you fucking high? We are in season 8.
Yeah, that's the funny irony I was talking about, because like on one hand people will say, you know, like, oh, they're just taking their time, they're building it properly, they need enough time to build it up. And then other people will insist, hey, it has clearly been canonical since volume 2, okay? It was very clear that they were the ship of choice and they were going to sail. You know, 50-50, as long as 50% of your audience picks up what you're putting down, then we're good. That scene was perfectly paced and perfectly framed to just put the kiss there. Like, nothing would have changed in terms of, like, the focus and whatnot if they just let them kiss.
Yeah.
But they just fucking refuse to.
They just cannot do it. They're waiting for some big fucking build-up.
And fuck off.
Is that what they're waiting for? Are they going to, like, do they think they're going to get some moment where there's, like, going to be, like, a huge big scene?
No. You know what you know what they're waiting for? They're waiting for Ren to tell them how they feel about each other.
I better fucking not.
He does ask where Nora is, by the way, and he runs off to go see her, so that's good. He remembered her now. So RWBY almost goes to hug Oscar, and it's really funny because like he has his hands out like waiting for that hug, and he's like, "Oh shit, we got some Bumblebee, time for that Rose Garden." But then she sees Emerald, and she goes for her weapon, and he's like, "No, she's cool." And it's just funny that he got denied. And also, so in some shots of this scene, you can see the giant knight statue lying on the ground, and I'm like, is that fucking Faunus man still just dead over there? Are they having this happy reunion right next to the corpse of a man?
Yeah, right next to the corpse of the tortured Faunus man. It's the new feature of Schnee Manor, is dead Faunus man.
Oh yeah, and like, because after Oscar does his explosion, it's daytime now, and it's all bright and happy and stuff, so it's just so funny that it's like, well, none of that mattered also.
Nah. Now...
All right, phone call. Badoo.
Yeah, they got a phone call from May. Something's going wrong down there. The ships are here, but... Oh no, everyone run.
What's great is she says that everyone run to the mines, and it's like, you guys were getting attacked by Grimm. Why were you not fucking taking cover already? Why were you all just hanging out in the open in the hole? What the fuck were you doing down there?
We do not know. They have not established clearly what was happening in Mantle this whole time. Like,
It's awesome.
there was some Grimm around, but like, Anyway, so then they get an emergency broadcast.
There is a cute animation here, or the way that it looks is kind of off, but they have a little moment where Blake actually covers her ears because, you know, I guess they're kind of sensitive, like her cat ears.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a cute little detail because the emergency broadcast is like bleep, 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 bleep.
So...
And then what's on the broadcast?
The broadcast is the SDC ships being blown up and shot down by the Atlas military.
First, Weiss has to do another no-sell line, which is, those ships, they were going to save people. Why would?
Yeah, it really was. It really was amazingly emotionless. It's kind of amazing.
They were going to save people. Why would? Yeah, and then we have fucking Ironwood, who decided to go into the darkest room possible, get a spotlight on him. I'm sure Harriet was probably doing it because he wants to look extra evil.
Because he's got an evil plan, you see. He's morally grey. He's so morally grey, you know, like he's got a point, but maybe he's going about things slightly the wrong way.
Oh, I love all these moral conundrums in this show. They're really good.
So here's the new moral conundrum. Penny, come open the vault or I'm going to kill every single person in Mantle. That's his plan.
I have one bomb. Which is really funny because he really doesn't need that bomb to kill Mantle. He has all his warships and they're just a bunch of people in a hole. So, like, it doesn't even matter that he has a fucking bomb.
Look, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
His offer to Penny is come and open the vault and Mantle can just fend for itself. Or I bomb it and then Mantle's gone and you won't have any reason to just not do what I want because there's no Mantle anymore.
If there's no Mantle, then there is no reason for you not to work with me.
And you have an hour.
Impeccable logic.
That's it, yeah. Now, so there's yeah.
There's so much to unpack here. There's like 500 things.
Okay, let's think about the logic of his plan for a minute. So the problem has been that Penny wants to protect Mantle. That's the thing she's prioritizing, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the general conflict, is that what kicked this off was that Salem was on the way. The thing that made Ironwood panic previously at the end of Volume 7 was that Salem was on the way and was going to be here imminently. Mm-hmm. That's why he needed to rush Atlas away and didn't have time to save the people in Mantle. Now, Salem's dead. all of the Grimm are gone.
He says that Salem could come back at any time and she's going to throw everything she has at them.
Yeah, even though, like, she turned up with everything she had and that's all gone right now.
No, this time she's going to throw everything she has at them.
Demonstrably, if she turns up again, she's going to be one angry lady. So the problem before was that we don't have time to evacuate the people of Mantle. We don't have the ships. We need to protect Atlas. Now, there were ships on their way right now. You demonstrably have some time. Letting those ships bring everyone up to Atlas would neutralize the conflict and would actually give Penny a reason to prioritize the protection of Atlas because everyone from Mantle is there, right?
Maybe you don't understand, Phoenix. He's a bad guy now.
It really seems like the logical play here is just to also save the people of Mantle.
But have you considered that he's a bad guy now?
Secondly, as you pointed out before, in what way does destroying Mantle guarantee Penny cooperates with you? Because, well, you know, there's no reason for you to not do this anymore. Seeing as though, like, the way he's thinking about Penny now is just how to leverage things that Penny likes against her not wanting to help him. If you blow up Mantle, that's you destroying the last piece of leverage you have over her. Now, the third part of this is that Ironwood has absolutely no idea where Penny is or what has happened to her.
The last shot of the episode is as he's saying that, he's like, you're the, protector of Mantle. I hope you'll live up to the title I gave you. And Nora looks over to unconscious Penny because she sleep.
Okay, so we know that she's in the mansion and has the virus and all this shit. Ironwood doesn't know that.
No, like Watts, he's been watching the show.
Yeah. Ironwood sent the Aesops out to get to the tundra because they think Penny's just out in the tundra somewhere. That was the last thing they thought happened to Penny, was that she was just out in the tundra in a ditch.
I love it. I love that they just kind of forgot what they were supposed to be doing and came home.
Yeah, if the Aesops hadn't forgot that was what they were supposed to be doing. See, he's yelling at Penny to come help. The last thing he thought, all they know is that she is somewhere out in the tundra.
Yeah, he knows that she went offline.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find or contact her. That's all he knows.
There is no reason to think, like, because he says, like, Penny, wherever you and your friends are, he has no reason to think that she is with anyone. That she is not just like a bunch of broken pieces in a fucking ditch. In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, as far as he knows, she's just fucking dead.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so much. Yeah, nothing about this makes any sense. And we're just back to the same stupid Atlas versus Mantle. No, we have to save Mantle. No, we have to save Atlas that we were at the end of last season. And like, it's just so wild remembering last season and remembering the fact that we had to spend 2 seasons supposedly getting Ironwood to this place where he's such a horrible person. In the first episode of Volume 7, they saw them being all ultra fashion. We're like, maybe we shouldn't trust Ironwood. And we would have been ready for him to be a villain right fucking then.
Yeah.
But instead, they took 2 fucking seasons, and everyone had to, like I said before, the fact that he shot that council member was so goddamn undersold. I'll never get over it. I'll never get over how nobody in that scene cares or considers it relevant. That wasn't even just some random dude. He was one of the highest positions in the fucking country, and he just shot him in the head for no reason.
Yeah.
It's just the thing he did, and it didn't matter, and no one has brought it up since.
Yeah. Ironwood has never been a particularly compelling character. But, like, the idea that we had to go through this journey to get to where he is now, and where he is now is an idiotic villain. He's just a dumb villain making dumb decisions that make no sense. That is not compelling or interesting in any way. The other part that shits me is like this might be compelling that he's doing these, making these insane demands, if at some point he ever had plans that made any sense. But, like, from the start of Volume 7, all of his plans have been just bullshit. All of his plans have been nonsensical because they've never, none of them are ever going to happen.
He was still supposed to be reasonable, theoretically, at the point where he was trying to move everyone to space forever.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, so that's still his idea of what he needs to do, but, their crops all got wrecked by fucking Grim acid.
Yeah.
Salem might still be on the fucking island for all he knows. He doesn't know where her fucking body is. She might just be up there and ride it up with them.
Also, Atlas was attacked by a flying whale. What is with this assumption that Grim can't go high?
And we know it's not even true.
The other thing that gets me, right, is the idea that, oh no, he's going to destroy Mantle. Do you remember what the risk was at the end of Volume 7? What was basically established in earlier on in Volume 7 was that Mantle was going to be destroyed, and it was going to be because of choices Ironwood made. The part of all this that really, really gets me is that this is not an escalation. Him threatening to destroy Mantle with a bomb is substantially no different to him threatening to leave Mantle with no protection against the Grim.
Yeah, it's like a really fucked up version of the trolley problem or something.
Well, I mean, it's a trolley problem if there's you can run them over with a slow trolley or a fast trolley. Either way, they're going to die. He was going to destroy Mantle previously through inaction, and now he's going to, directly destroy them. But it's not an escalation. It's just not an escalation. This is what was going to happen before, and this is still what's going to happen now.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is you see fans being like a lot of them are disappointed with this development, and they're like, Ironwood made so much sense before, but now suddenly he's crazy, which is really funny because obviously that's not our position. It's just that he's been acting crazy this entire time, and the show has been pretending that he hasn't been acting crazy this entire time.
I'm not sure exactly when that we were meant to think he started acting crazy. Because, if we were meant to think at the end of Volume 7 that he was just making a hard choice, the very next episode, at the start of Volume 8, he shoots the guy in the head for no reason.
He shot Oscar. People were joking about, what is he going to do next? Shoot a puppy? And I'm like, he basically did shoot a puppy. He shot Oscar.
Like we pointed out at the time, shooting Oscar was illogical. Because he needed Oscar. He needed to know where the fucking other relic was.
He's everyone in this show is really fucking bad at their jobs. I have a numbered list of things at the end of my notes that I still need to I need to talk about. Whenever you want to get into them.
There is nothing compelling about an idiot villain. That's the thing that gets me. There's nothing interesting or compelling about a villain who is just doing villain shit because he's the villain. He has no motivation, no goal he is really pushing for here other than to be evil.
No, he wants to save Atlas.
No, but he could save. There are other ways for him to save Atlas that don't involve needlessly killing a whole bunch of people. If you just let the ships come up to Atlas, that solves everything.
You know what might be clouding his judgment, Phoenix?
What?
So my bullet point number 1, how much of this is his super cool semblance? How much of this is just him being at the mercy of his really awesome idea for a semblance where it makes you irrationally stubborn? Because I'm so glad that they told us that that's his semblance, because now it's is he really choosing to do this? I can't wait for them to say that's not his semblance, actually. They should retcon that word of God. Honestly, they should, because it's fucking stupid. But I was thinking about that. I was like, wait, is he using his semblance right now?
Does his semblance use him?
Oh. So my next point on the list is that the way that they should get out of this whole conundrum is that they should all go over to Ironwood, and Ren will say, hey, wait, we can trust him because he's scared. and then they'll all be friends again, and then they can trust love.
Yeah, that would be a big hug.
Okay, number 3 is fucking bullshit that Penny never went in the whale. The fucking whale named after Monstro showed up. Penny never even got to meet the whale. Horseshit. Unfair. Ruined my bingo. I kind of touched on this somewhat, but 4 and 5 are, of course, bomb plan made no sense, wasn't going to happen. And 5 was, of course, ship plan made no sense, also wasn't going to happen. Because how Whitley was just like, we will take them to safety. And it didn't matter where safety was because they knew that the ships were going to be exploded.
That's true. They never established where the ships were going because the ships were never going to go anywhere. God, it's amazing how often they do this. It's amazing how often they have these plans that make no sense, but it's okay because they're never going to happen, so they don't need to. They think that's acceptable.
Remember the whole concept that they sent Jury into the whale to scout, but obviously there's nothing specific they were scouting for, and they never have any no one ever tries to call them. They never have something that they're going to try to call in about. It was just an excuse to kind of get them in that whale, and it doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't matter that it doesn't make any sense.
Nah.
So Salem, if she isn't on Atlas, I want her to wake up and then she goes to Amity Arena because we haven't checked in with the old people squad lately with Pietro and Maria. They're just out there somewhere in a crashed Amity Arena, presumably. And Salem should just meet up with them, go have an old people party, and they can just live together and fuck these kids.
Start a sitcom.
But I like that we just have not touched on them.
No, well, because they're not fucking important. Who cares?
Yeah, and then 9 was me going, wait, or is she on Atlas still? We covered that.
I am fine with those guys. Just never hearing from those guys again.
It would be so great if she just gets to them and they're just fucking frozen and they're dead. Number 11 was just like, what if Oscar killed Funky in that explosion? It just doesn't come up, but just along with all those other random soldier mooks, he just kind of killed Funky off screen, and we'll never see them again, and it will never come up.
They'll be like Carden after the Battle of Beacon. It's like, well, we never saw him again, so we don't know that he's not dead.
Yeah.
But also, we don't care.
Oh, wait, most of these I already covered. Why didn't they retreat to the mines earlier with the constant Grim attacks? It still kills me that, like, I like I said, I won't be surprised if there's Grim back again in the following episodes. But as far as we can see, the Grim are all gone now. It's just over. Oscar used his device that he had this entire time that it turns out can just completely solve this problem instantly.
I can't get over that fans were calling it an ass pull, and it absolutely is an ass pull. That he just had this thing that could do that right now. And like, if Grimm show up later on, that just means that for the events of this episode, the Grimm were just kind of politely behaving. And a fair amount of time passed through this episode, so...
Oh yeah, it just kills me that, like, in this particular instance, their word of God was better. The idea that he could have stopped time, that would have been, like, at least kind of interesting. But no, it just makes a big explosion. Oh, and also people were pointing out, it's basically... So that means that his weapon does the same thing that Adam's weapon does, except he can just store it for longer.
Yeah.
It's literally the exact same mechanic.
It's a combination of Adam's weapon and Silver Eyes, because it's a big explosion that only hurts Grimm somehow.
Yeah, it is very much like the other Silver Eyes moment, because there's just this like, oh, and everybody being like, whoa, look at that bright light that solved our problem suddenly with no buildup.
I mean, that's part of it, isn't it? Like, that freezing Salem would have been like, okay, Salem is stopped, but obviously there's all this Grimm here, so you still got to deal with that. But no, we're not going to deal with that either. We're just going to have it all solved.
No, because Ironwood is a much more interesting villain.
That's the other thing I wanted to talk about was like what does this do to the threat of Salem?
She's blasting off again.
Salem is the big bad, the big bad in this show. She's the one who is such a threat that she drove Ironwood crazy and is ostensibly making him do all the stuff that he's doing. And she was just defeated by a special boy. And like, her turning up, like, caused a war where I'm sure some people suffered, but we didn't see any of that. And now with one explosion, she's just gone. And that's that.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
She was stopped because a man who had worked for her for years just suddenly decided to betray her. And Oscar's special. So he's got special powers.
And half of our main characters were there to witness the events.
Yeah.
So, they did some important things.
Yeah. I'm just like, are they not concerned that you're starting to cindify Salem?
Yeah.
By having a villain be thrown out the door this way, it makes them less scary. Because this was Salem going all out. This was Salem turning up with an enormous army of Grimm and like really trying to blow up a place.
But next time she shows up, she's going to throw everything she has at them.
What? Like, this is a great thing because, like, pre her turning up, that idea held some weight. Post her turning up, when everything was blown up at once, and like, it doesn't seem like Atlas is still there. Most of the people still seem to be alive, apart from all the dead soldiers we sort of see sometimes. I'm just not sold on the threat that she poses anymore. Like, and the idea that Ironwood's still going, ugh. How are they not concerned about that? How are the writers not concerned that you have just made her lame?
One big buff boy was actually able to go toe-to-toe with her for like a good while.
Yeah.
So, Qrow and Robin were finally broken out of prison by no act of their own, and the entire rest of the season they were sitting in jail. Team RWBY has spent half the season sitting in a house. Jury has just been running around witnessing events and sometimes making things worse.
Yeah.
How do you look at this and be like, fuck yeah, we did.
How do you write 2 seasons of a show where your main characters do not achieve anything, nor try really to do anything?
Oscar is the only person who has anything resembling like a protagonist storyline this volume.
Yeah. It's just kind of amazing. Because even Jury, who did try to do some stuff, it was still reactive. They got attacked by Neo, and they had to run from that. They sort of helped evacuate people a little bit, and then Oscar got kidnapped, and they had to react to that. And then everything just became a reaction to other things that were happening. So they weren't really like... In terms of trying to solve the problem, the only thing they really did to help was like help to evacuate a few people in Mantle, which may not end up working out.
Look, Ren helped the Aesops understand their feelings, and that's going to be really important. I can't wait. I can't wait to see next episode what goes down with the Aesops. Are Winter and Marrow finally going to turn, or is Marrow going to be like, you're feeling conflicted about this?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more Marrow being conflicted. I'm looking forward to like them eventually being turned around. even Harriet.
Yeah, I still will 100% not be surprised if all of the Aesops become good guys again.
Yeah. So the end result of this couple of seasons so far, Salem is diminished as a threat. Mm-hmm. Our main character spent almost 2 seasons doing nothing. Like, really, really doing nothing in the end.
Oh, and also it's still their fault that she's here at all,
Yeah.
and they caused all this.
Yeah. Like, they've
So good job,
they have
guys.
been nothing but a negative influence on the events in this world.
Yes.
And Oscar's now sort of the main character.
Yeah, Cinder's now 5 years old,
Cinder's 5.
so that's some progress.
It's just, what a show.
In conclusion, this isn't a real show. As I said at the beginning of this podcast, jury, this was my evidence. I rest my case, not a real show.
How do they look at this? How do they look at this show and think this is okay? Think this all makes sense?
And he tweeted, he was like thinking about the next 5 episodes, and it was gif of fasten your seatbelts.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, he was tweeting about how he was floored by the animatic for this episode too, and it's just like, god damn.
There were definitely some scenes in this episode with some nice character animation.
That's the only thing left you can praise is that like they know how to animate Neo properly, and occasionally some of the animators do technically well. That's the only thing you can really point to this show anymore and say, yeah, it's good. But that bit there was nice.
Yeah, and most of the time it's still like they're working with shit models. Oh, yeah, shout out to Corinth. I forgot during that scene, it's very important because there was some really good Oscar having a weird nose content during that whole conversation in the subway.
Yeah.
It's very mesmerizing. You watch his weird little one nostril and then the line forms and then disappears on each side, and it's mesmerizing.
We're definitely getting Corinth back on before this season's over.
Hell yeah. We have to all scram together.
Anyway, look forward to next week's episode.
I'm really excited.
Still 4 episodes to go. Still 4 episodes of this shit. What are they going to do?
I know, I don't... Like, so Qrow better kill Ironwood, but, like, you could solve that in 1 episode. Penny has to wake up and learn about all this stuff, and it'll be really funny.
What's made some comment about how, like, she's resisting it, but at some point her body's just going to give in. So, like, I am wondering if, like, they're going to implant her mind somewhere or something, or if she's going to die, or if
Well, that's the
Pietro's
funny
going to
thing.
die, or...
As Watts points out, he just put the virus in her, and he doesn't have any direct line to her or whatever, so how the fuck does he know that? The last thing he also saw was her going offline, and he thought she just had to reboot.
It's just like...
They're just watching the show.
Yeah, they're all watching the show. It's a thing that RWBY characters do all the time, no more than they should, because the writers have forgotten that these characters were not actually witness to this. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was, after this ep, I went to the RWBY subreddit.
Oh, yeah.
To, like, just to have a look at, like, how the fans are reacting to this stuff. And the best way to see the arguments, because there's a lot of people who are still praising it, thought, you know, Ironwood's turn is amazing and all that sort of shit. You can sort Reddit threads by controversial, which means that they have a lot of up and down votes. Mm-hmm. You know, there's always people who are bothered by what's going on in RWBY, but like this episode really seemed to be, there were a lot of people who were just talking fucking mad shit about this show. Like,
I'm always fascinated by where their breaking point is.
look, I can understand it because these are people who are still sort of like sympathetic towards the show, like still enjoyed it. They're fans.
Yeah.
But they're looking at all the shit with Ironwood and going, this is just fucked. This is dumb. This is boring. I don't buy it.
But how did they not think that when he shot the council guy? Like, why now do they think this is unreasonable?
There are some of them that have said his entire arc has been rubbish. Like, you know.
Okay.
There's been a very strong negative reaction to this episode from fans, which is like, I get it. This is lame. The other thing that there was a strong reaction against was the fucking Bumblebee not kissing.
I was glad to hear that some people were, you know, not like, oh my god, more good ship content. Thank you for this food. Nom nom. I'm sure those people also exist.
Yeah, there was that too. Like people going, oh, my heart stopped. I thought they were going to kiss, but they didn't.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
Fucking shit. Fuck this goddamn show.
People just been pointing out the same things that we were talking about. How like Ironwood doesn't know what's going on with Penny. This doesn't make any sense. Oscar just having a tactical nuke in his cane is a complete like unsatisfying arsepool. Salem is a lot less scary than she used to be. Like, yeah, there's all of the sort of things we've been talking about. Like Ironwood's the big focal point, but a lot of fans really not impressed with what's going on.
Yeah, they're seeing the Matrix.
But at the same time, there's a bunch of them who are still defending this, like who think Ironwood's fall made sense and all that sort of stuff. But you know,
Of course, they're ride or die.
it sucks, but it is heartening. It is heartening sometimes to see fans going, "This sucks." Like, which is a shame because it's like it means they're watching something that they used to enjoy and they're not enjoying it anymore, which isn't a positive thing. But like, it's satisfying to us because it's like, yeah, okay, there's sane people in the world, so they can see this as well.
Yeah, it's like when you hear from people who have like gotten out of cults, and you're like, "Oh, that was horrible that you were in that cult," but I'm just really glad for you.
I mean, not quite the same level, but sure.
Well, yeah.
Anyway.
We'll see you next week for this show that's still it's not real. Next week we'll have to have more evidence, and we'll see where we come out on it.
Oh, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Have a nice bad show.